The plasma blade hummed as it pierced through Kethvar's chest. The alien warrior's four eyes widening in shock as David's human reflexes proved faster than centuries of Zephyrian combat training. The towering 8-foot alien stumbled backward, his chitinous armor cracking, before collapsing onto the metal deck of the space station with a resonating thud. David Winchester stood over his fallen opponent, breathing heavily. The combat arena fell silent except for the distant hum of life support systems. Around them, the mixed crowd of humans and aliens watched in stunned silence. No one had expected the human mercenary to defeat the legendary Zephyrian champion. "Impossible," whispered someone from the crowd. "Humans don't move that fast." But David had learned long ago that impossible was just another word for untested. 3 years fighting in the Outer Rim Wars had taught him that survival meant adapting, evolving, becoming more than what others expected. Kethvar's breathing was labored, green blood seeping through the cracks in his natural armor. With great effort, he raised one of his forearms toward David. "Human warrior," he rasped, his voice carrying the harmonic undertones of his species. "I acknowledge your victory." David knelt beside the dying alien, his anger from the fight already fading. This hadn't been personal. Just another contract, another battle in the endless conflicts that plagued the galaxy's edge. "You fought with honor," he said simply. My family," Kethvar struggled to speak. "They are here, on this station. Without me, they have nothing. The clan will cast them out." His large compound eyes focused on David with desperate intensity. "In our culture, the victor inherits the responsibilities of the defeated. Will you honor this?" David felt the weight of those words settle on his shoulders. He'd heard of such customs among some alien species, but never thought he'd face such a request. "Where are they?" "Docking Bay 7. Ship Wandering Star," Kethvar whispered. "My wife Zoe. She was born human but chose our ways. My daughter. She is young, only 8 cycles. They know nothing of this fight." His grip tightened on David's arm with surprising strength. "Promise me, human. Promise you will care for them." Something in the alien warrior's voice, the pure desperation of a dying father, cut through David's usual emotional barriers. "I promise," he said quietly. Kethvar's body relaxed and the light faded from his compound eyes. An hour later, David stood before the airlock of the Wandering Star, his mind racing. How did one explain to a widow that her husband was dead? How did one tell a child she was now an orphan? And what had he gotten himself into by making such a promise? The airlock cycled open, revealing a woman with shoulder-length auburn hair and tired green eyes. She was unmistakably human, though she wore the flowing robes typical of Zephyrian females. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice carrying a slight accent that suggested she'd spent years among aliens. "Are you Zoe?" David asked, removing his combat helmet. Her expression immediately shifted to concern. "Yes, where is Kethvar? He said he would be back hours ago." David took a deep breath. "May I come in?" "We need to talk." Something in his tone must have warned her because her face went pale. She stepped back, allowing him entry into the modest ship's living area. A young girl sat at a low table, her appearance a fascinating blend of human and Zephyrian features. Human bone structure, but with the large, dark eyes of her father's species and skin that held a faint greenish tint. "Mama, who is this?" the girl asked in accented standard. "Go to your room, Kira," Zoe said softly, never taking her eyes off David. After the child left, David struggled to find the right words. "Your husband challenged me to combat in the station's arena. He didn't survive." Zoe's knees buckled and she sank into a nearby chair. For a long moment she said nothing, just stared at the floor. When she finally looked up, tears streamed down her face, but her voice was steady. "Did he die with honor?" "He did. He fought bravely." "Good." She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "And now you've come to collect whatever bounty was placed on his head, I suppose?" "No." David sat across from her, leaning forward. "He asked me to take care of you and Kira. In his culture, apparently, the victor inherits certain responsibilities." Zoe's eyes widened. "The Kethamoran bond. I didn't think... you're human. Most species don't honor our customs. Most humans don't make promises to dying warriors either," David admitted. "But I gave my word." For the first time since he'd delivered the news, Zoe's expression softened slightly. "You don't understand what you're agreeing to." The clan will cast us out now that Kethavar is gone. Without his protection, Kira and I are nothing in their society. And you'd be taking on the burden of caring for a hybrid child who will never fit in anywhere completely. David had been thinking about exactly that during the walk from the arena. He thought about his own childhood, bouncing between foster homes, never belonging anywhere. He thought about the wars he'd fought, the lives he'd taken, and the emptiness that had driven him from one conflict to another. Maybe, he said slowly, it's time I stopped running from responsibilities. You'd do this? Really? You'd uproot your entire life for strangers? David looked toward the corridor where the child had disappeared. My life wasn't exactly rooted anywhere to begin with. And you're not strangers, you're family now. That's how this works, right? Zoe was quiet for a long moment, studying his face. Kethavar was a good judge of character, she said finally. He must have seen something in you worth trusting. I hope so. David stood up. We should probably leave this station soon. Word travels fast out here, and not everyone will be happy about what happened today. Where would we go? I know a place. A small colony world on the far edge of human space. Quiet, peaceful. Good place to raise a child. He paused. If you're willing. Just then, Kira peeked around the corner, her large, dark eyes filled with curiosity and fear. Mama, is Papa really gone? Zoe opened her arms, and the girl ran to her. Yes, little star. Papa's gone. But this man will take care of us? Kira looked at David with the direct, unflinching gaze that children possessed. David knelt down to her eye level. If you'll let me. Kira studied him for a moment, then nodded solemnly. Papa said humans were stubborn and loyal. Are you stubborn and loyal? Despite everything, David smiled. Very. Good, Kira declared. We need someone stubborn. As the wandering star prepared for departure, David reflected on how quickly life could change. This morning he'd been a rootless mercenary with nothing to lose. Now he was responsible for a small family, heading toward an uncertain future on a distant world. But for the first time in years, that uncertainty didn't feel like emptiness. It felt like possibility. The ship's engines hummed to life, and they slipped away from the station into the vast darkness between stars, carrying their fragile new beginning toward whatever waited among distant suns.